So in the modern world, there are some things that are universally terrible. Waiting in line, doing your taxes, stale bread. I can't help with the first two, but what I can do is show you how to make fresh bread. So first we'll go over the actual stuff you'll need to make bread. For ingredients, you'll need 4½ teaspoons instant yeast, 3/4 cup and 2 2/3 cups warm water, 1/4 cup granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, 3 tablespoons unsalted and cubed room temperature butter, 9 to 10 cups of all-purpose flour, and another 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter melted for brushing over the loaf. As for the prep and baking tools, you'll need a large bowl for the dough to rise in, a small bowl for your yeast and water mixture, a brush, the kitchen kind, not the fine art kind, plastic wrap, vegetable oil, a knife, 2 9-inch loaf pans, and unless you want to get a really good arm workout in while making all of this, a stand mixer with bowl and dough hook. You'll want to set aside about 3 hours to give you enough time to go from having no bread to delicious carbs ready to be eaten. Ooh, sorry, this is making me hungry. To start, we're going to hydrate the yeast in 3/4 cup of warm water. Let that sit for 5 minutes and you should see some bubbles floating around. That means your yeast is awake and ready to ferment, so add it to the bowl of the mixer along with your sugar, salt, cubed room temperature butter, 2 2/3 cups water, and 5 cups of flour. Stick your dough hook on and mix on low until the ingredients all come together. Then start adding the remaining flour slowly. We're looking for the dough to go from a sticky mass to a soft and tacky ball that clears the sides of the bowl. Soft and tacky means gluten, and gluten is going to give your bread structure. This should take 7 to 10 minutes, and you may not need to add all the remaining flour. Now it's time to let the dough rise. The yeast we woke up at the beginning is now in your dough, snacking on the sugars and starches, releasing gas that's going to puff up your dough and give you light, fluffy bread. Take a large bowl and grease it with your vegetable oil, then drop in your dough ball, rolling it around to make sure it's coated in the oil. Take some plastic wrap that you've also greased and cover the bowl. You want to make sure everything is well greased because left to its own devices, bread dough will stick to roughly every single thing in your kitchen. Leave the dough until it's doubled in size, around 45 minutes to an hour. Once your dough is somewhere between puffy and overflowing across your entire table, turn it out onto a well-floured surface. Pat it down and divide in half. Take each half and shape them into 9-inch rectangles, then place them into greased 9-inch loaf pans. Now, like little carb-filled zombies, it's time for the dough to rise again. Loosely cover the loaves and let them rise for 30 minutes while you preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Once the rise is done, brush the loaves with melted butter and bake for 30 minutes. Once they're done, brush them down with butter again and let them cool for 10 minutes. Do not cut them until they're cool, even if they smell absolutely delicious. Once time's up, then you can slice yourself a slice and finally enjoy those glorious carbs you worked so hard for. Happy eating!